He's been across Manchester City. Story live from central London. He's at the FT Business of Football Summit. Kaveh, good evening to you. Now, we heard you a little bit earlier talking about Manchester City and the Liga, but you've just been speaking also to the Chelsea chairman, Todd Boehly. What has he had to say about the fan protests and the ownership?
Yes, very interesting comments from Todd Boehly. He was asked about what he thought about all these protests, and basically what he seemed to be saying is that, look, obviously he doesn't like being the focus of demonstrations along with his co-owners at Chelsea, but he feels that Chelsea overall are moving in the right direction. And he made the point that this new ownership group has only been at Chelsea for just under 3 years. And it is going to take time for Chelsea to be, for instance, challenging for the Champions League or Premier League title again. But he believes that the trends are moving in the right direction. And he said, for instance, look, the whole structure inside the club has changed, and it is going to take a little bit more time. When he was asked about the sort of status of his relationship with one of the other prominent co-owners at Chelsea, Todd Boehly, of course, who is from Clear Lake Capital, he said that he didn't want to comment on that because he had learnt in the past 3 years that the British media are prone to exaggerate things and also to leave some things out. Those are the words of Todd Boehly, not my words or my sentiments. He was also asked about whether he would do it again this way. For instance, if he had his time again, would he try to buy Chelsea on his own rather than joining up with other investors? And he said, I never look in the rear view mirror. So I think the message we were getting from Todd Boehly was, look, he doesn't want to create headlines. He understands the frustrations of some Chelsea supporters. But I think his message, delivered quite subtly, was that, look, you just have to give us time because we have a short-term and a long-term strategy, and we are confident that we will get things right.
And Kaveh, what did Todd Boehly have to say about football governance? I know that's been a big talking point.
Yes, I know sometimes, football governance can be quite a dry topic. Maybe not that many people are interested in the details of what a football regulator is going to do. But obviously this is an issue that Todd Boehly is across. And he said that he finds it quite hard to appreciate the need to have a football regulator. Obviously, his background is in US sports. He's been hugely successful at the LA Dodgers, who've just won the World Series. So I don't think he's a fan of having a football regulator. I think when he was talking about the Premier League as well, he seemed to refer on a couple of occasions to the NFL model. And reading between the lines, I think he's a big fan of the NFL model. And of course, the NFL model is a model where all the 32 clubs speak with one voice. You don't get clubs falling out with each other or taking the league to court. So I think he is a favour of that model rather than the more sort of free market model that we have here in England. He was also quite interesting when he was talking about broadcasting rights, and he seemed to say that he thought that in the future the Premier League's global rights all around the world would be owned by one broadcaster. I know that is not a view that is shared by a lot of people because the Premier League has very, very lucrative, valuable domestic broadcasting rights, but also even more valuable and lucrative international broadcasting rights. But Todd Boehly, for what it's worth, seemed to think that we were headed towards a model where one global streamer would own all the rights for the Premier League. Finally, when he was on stage, the final question that was put to him, which got a really good answer actually, was just look ahead to next year, the FT Football Business Summit in London in 2026. If you were here in a year's time, do you think that the same owners would be in charge of Chelsea as the ownership group who are running the club now? And he said, I can't predict the future, and if I could, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Wow, okay, shots fired. Kaveh, bring us all the big stories. Thank you very much. As Kaveh Sonical, our chief reporter, continues.